Hi friends, I hope you are all very well. I have one of my harvesting baskets and my snippers because I have all these cauliflowers to bring inside. But today, while I harvest from my garden, I wanted to chat to you about what you can sow in September in cool regions of Australia. Now, I'm in central Victoria and we get frosts until October. Sometimes we get frosts in November. So we can still get them quite late into October. So these are things that you can sow in your seed raising trays at the moment. But first off, I wanted to talk about what you can plant out in your garden already. So last month I started some seed raising inside and I've got some leeks and some onions and some beetroot that I can plant out into my garden right now. However, I'm still making some areas to plant them out, but I will be planting them very soon. In the next week, I will be getting them out into the garden. So anything that can deal with frosts, you can get out into your garden right now. So all those cold, winter-loving vegetables like what I've got growing here will be fine to plant out. But the rest of the items that I'm going to be talking to you about today are to be planted inside or in your seed raising house or in your house in seed raising trays because they still need to be kept warm, and some of them are also very frost sensitive, so we don't want to be planting them out into the garden just yet. So some vegetables that you can start sowing now are asparagus and artichokes. Now, I don't have a plan to plant either of these this year, and it's been a long time since I've grown artichokes, but I don't plan on growing them this year because it's just not something that we eat a lot of. So I do recommend that you plant vegetables that you're going to eat because you don't want to end up with a whole bunch of something that you just aren't going to end up eating, and then it feels like a bit of a wasted time growing that item. But nevertheless, some of you might want to grow some artichokes and asparagus. I've got some asparagus plants going. I'm kind of keen to get some more plants in the ground, but we're waiting until we build our raised beds and I'm going to be planting asparagus into one of those. You can start getting some peas into the ground as well. You can plant them direct into your ground or you can start them in seed raising trays. You can also start getting some more brassicas into your seed raising trays. So I'm going to be planting some more kale seeds because my kale's going to seed and I need some more baby plants to put in the ground before these ones give up on growing. You can also grow some more broccoli and some cabbage as well. As you can see behind me, I've got a lot of fennel growing, but fennel is something that you can plant again now. And so when these ones have finished, you'll have some more to harvest from in a few months' time. And celery as well. It's a good time to start your celery plants. I think I have some celery seeds, so I'm definitely going to be starting some myself. We can also start sowing some of our herbs. So coriander, parsley and dill are great ones to start sowing now. I've got a lot of parsley and coriander growing in my garden already, but if I want to get some succession sowing in, then it's probably a good time for me to start sowing some more of those. Then we've got our radishes and our lettuces and other salad greens that we can start sowing. These are things that we can sow most of the year. So I'm definitely going to be starting some more lettuces. I've got so many lettuce plants coming up from seed, so many little babies. So I need to transplant them in my garden. And this is a good indicator too that it is now time for putting lettuces in. When you're starting to see things come up naturally from the seed in your soil, then you know that it's time to start planting it or start raising it in your seed trays and then getting it out into your garden. So September is a great time to continue to get your root vegetables into the ground as well. So I will be sowing direct into the ground carrots because we don't want to put those into seed trays. It messes with their root systems and then you get forking in your carrots. So you definitely want to sow them directly into the ground. So I'm going to be preparing some sites for my carrot seeds to go in so I can grow more carrots. I'm also going to be sowing some more beetroot into trays. So as I said before, I've got some beetroot in my trays right now, ready to go out into the garden. So once I've popped them in the garden, I'll sow some more. And then next month I'll have more to put into the garden. I'll also be sowing some more spring onions and leeks as well. And of course, the ones that we can sow pretty much all year round, turnips and Swedes, we can get those into our seed raising trays as well to get out into the ground. I've got some plants coming up all by themselves in my garden from a plant that I let go to seed in summer. So I've got some turnips growing already there, and I've got some Swedes that I've been harvesting from. They're very small Swedes, but they're still Swedes altogether. And parsnip as well. It is time to get your parsnip seeds into the ground. So just like with carrots, we want to plant these direct into the ground so that they don't end up forking just like the carrots do. We can also start getting some potatoes into the ground as well. Now, I generally will put a frost cloth over them once they start showing some leaves up on top of the soil, just because the frost will kill those leaves. And lastly, the really exciting part, we get to start planting those nightshades. So last month, I sowed some tomatoes into trays in my house, and they're about this big now, and they're starting to shoot their third leaves. So I'm going to be planting more tomato plants this month. But I'm going to be adding to that. I'm going to be planting my capsicum seeds, my chili seeds, and my eggplant seeds. So this is a really exciting time because we're going to be starting some of our summer plants and we're getting a glimpse of what is to come. Now, we're definitely not planting any of these vegetables into the garden because that frost will kill them. It's just too cold at night and those frosts will just immediately kill these seedlings. So be careful not to plant anything out into your garden just yet. We can also start to raise corn as well, but beware that the corn doesn't grow too big for the seed raising trays that you have. Make sure you do pot up some of your plants. So I will definitely be potting up my tomatoes that I sowed last month. I'll be potting them up probably towards the end of this month or in October because I'm not going to be planting them out till late October, and I'm going to be putting them out with frost cloth over the top of them. And lastly, I wanted to talk to you about why I don't sow zucchinis and pumpkins and watermelons and rock melons right now this month. And that is because these are huge plants. They grow really rapidly and we don't want to have to plant them out into the garden just yet. I have experimented with past years planting my zucchinis out into the garden and putting frost cloth over them. But when I planted my next lot of zucchinis out, when the frosts weren't around, those two plants sort of traveled at the same speed. So yes, I might have had a few zucchinis a little bit earlier, but the difference wasn't that huge. It's definitely worth experimenting with in your area because every area is very different and every year is different as well. I remember one year from I think the end of September, we had no frost. And so I had my tomato plants out in October. I actually had some out in September, end of September, out in the garden, just as an experiment, and they survived, and I picked my first tomato on Christmas Eve. But having said that, it's a risk, so don't plant all of your plants out at once. Just plant out a few at a time and just see and just gauge what your weather is like, especially if you're in a new area. You want to be really cautious and not to put everything out immediately. Of course, I can get a little impatient sometimes, and I might start planting a few of the items that I'd normally wait till October to plant, but I'm going to be planting them inside, and I might choose just to keep potting them up, and I might have them in quite big pots until I'm ready to put them out into the garden. Or I could overlap the frost cloth with double frost cloth and see how that goes. I might try those things. It's all about experimenting. So these are not rules. These are just gauges of what you can plant at this time in cold regions. And you've really got to just see what you can plant in your area. What I can plant here is completely different to what someone else could plant just 15 minutes down the road. So it really just matters about whether you've created your own eco-climate. You might have a warmer garden than I do because you've got a brick wall or a brick fence, or you've got cover from the wind that is blowing right now. The wind is a big killer for us here, particularly on those frosty nights when the wind is moving through. It will kill a lot of plants in its path. So you just have to be cautious about all of those things. But frost cloth is fantastic if you can find some good frost cloth that lasts a long while. So enjoy planting your plants that you sowed last month into your garden and sowing more seeds this month. We had such a sunny morning this morning and we were enjoying the garden, but now it's getting really windy and cloudy. And there's a few droplets of rain and some rain clouds coming over. The weather is all over the place, which is normal for Victoria, and we just have to roll with it. I hope you have a gorgeous week and you have fun planting your capsicums and chilies and eggplants and more tomato plants. Enjoy. See you next time, friends.